quisiera compartir con mi prójimo, con mi hermano, con mi paisano, compatriota. Existe una iglesia que ha sido profetizada. Entonces deberíamos de darle una oportunidad, y es que cuando llegue ese momento, que no lo echamos a perder, que no lo dejemos ser destruido o opacado por nociones preconcebidas y todo. No cierren sus oídos, no cierren su corazón. El Señor Jesucristo dice: estoy tocando, ábranme la puerta.
The My Countrymen, My Brethren project of the Church of Christ is aimed at sharing our faith with our fellow countrymen. Brother Juan Fisher is a minister of the gospel in the Church of Christ who was given the chance to return to his homeland in Latin America. Before Brother Juan was called into the Church of Christ, he was Catholic, like many of his countrymen in Mexico.
I grew up as a Catholic, and I was very active in the Catholic Church. I used to help the priest, and they call that in Spanish sacristan. So what my mom says, she decided we would move closer to town because she was feeling sick, and if she would get sick, it wouldn't be feasible for her to be so far away. So we moved into town, and then she made arrangements for me to go to the parish, the local parish, and that's how I started helping out the priest.
But even as a young boy, Brother Juan had second thoughts about his role as a Catholic believer.
When I did it for her, because it seemed to make her very happy. She couldn't attend anymore. She got really sick. But after she passed away, immediately I stopped. It didn't make any sense to me.
From then on, until his young adulthood, religion and faith were not a priority on Brother Juan's list.
But I never also really believed that Jesus Christ was God. To me, it seemed like it just didn't click with me, or didn't have an effect. I always had so many doubts about that.
Then he met Brother Ernesto from the local congregation of San Jose.
I was working in a factory where this deacon that invited me from San Jose, he used to bring me God's Message magazines. He gave me this special issue, and that special issue was about the messenger of God, Brother Felix Y. Manalo. And I told him that I was really interested about this one magazine. He says, well, this one magazine. He says, well, if you're really interested in this one magazine and about hearing about the Church of Christ, why there is a messenger, well, you should come. So the first lesson that I heard, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and not God himself. The only true God is the Father. That was it for me. I say, oh yes, this is the church that I want to be, and I want to learn more about the messenger. I went through all the lessons, and after so many questions that I used to have for the minister, things began to take a different light.
But there was one question that stuck out in his mind.
And even right from the beginning, I heard the minister and even the brethren mention, this is the true church of Christ. Now, wait a minute. How can you say you're the true church? Where's the Hispanics? So the minister said, well, he read from the Bible. Now it's your turn to invite, just like they invited you. So I started inviting, and the people that I had were my friends. Most of them, if not all, they were Latino, they were Hispanics. Most of them were Mexican, like myself. And they didn't understand all that well. So I explained to the minister that they didn't understand all that well, and if they didn't grasp the lesson or the objective of being there to listen into the words of God, it wasn't taking effect. The ministers told me, well, if they don't understand, you have to translate for them.
As a Mexican American, Brother Juan spent his childhood already acting as a translator.
And growing up back then with my family, which were from Mexico, Piedras Negras, Coahuila, the state of Coahuila, the language we spoke in the house was completely all Spanish. We moved to the United States across the border to Texas. The first thing they did when we moved to Texas, they enrolled me in the school system. They would tell us that we could not speak Spanish or other language, we had to speak English. So I was forced to develop my skills in English, even in reading and all those kind of things. But then when I would go to the house, I was not allowed to speak English. And now that I think about it in retrospect, I believe it was a training ground for the skills that I now use to serve God.
After he was baptized, Brother Juan Fisher became an official Spanish translator of the Church of Christ, beginning in his own local congregation in San Jose, California, then helping in other congregations in the San Francisco Bay Area. It wasn't long before God called him into the holy ministry. Now he is a minister at the forefront of God's mission in Latin America, having preached the gospel in places such as Mexico City, Oaxaca, Guatemala, and Argentina.
Can you imagine all the work the administration has done to make a transition from where we were then? We didn't have hymns translated in, but now look at the choir members, they're singing in Spanish. And even though they might not be their native language, but they're doing it so well. It's like there was a worship service lesson recently that if the Israelites, when they were freed from bondage in Egypt, they could have gone straight to Canaan, or how do you say that in English, Canaan. They could have gone straight to the Promised Land. It would have taken them days. But God sent them out to the desert, you know. They had no skills in being warriors. God knew that they were going to come against all these warring nations, all these excellent, developed, experienced, seasoned soldiers. That's exactly what's happening to us. What about the Latino people? We were not ready back then. We didn't have the things. Now is the time. Now we're ready.
Recently, Brother Juan was given the opportunity to travel to Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, to help in establishing a group worship service there.
Mi prójimo, mi hermano, my countrymen, my brethren. It has nothing to do ethnically. It has everything to do with reaching out to the people that God is calling. That's why we're here, in fact, here in Ciudad Juarez today. Just think of that sister who is from here. He says, I'm going to move here because immediately he says, I have 50, 60 other people that I'm going to bring. And can you imagine when one person, 50, 60, that's just one individual.
Fui la que le dije al ministro que tenía mucha familia aquí y que quería que viniera a dar clases aquí. Y entonces me dijo que yo tenía que hacer una carta
A la
para mandar.
administración.
Y eso fue lo que hicimos y por eso estamos aquí.
You can see people in their reactions in every stage of the lesson. It's like they never heard something like this before. And you can see people going like this, yes. And their nod of agreement, their expression on the face, that is really motivation. You cannot ask for any more inspiration.
Pues, pues bueno, es la primera vez que vengo a una en español, completamente, ¿verdad? pues sí, me voy un poco satisfecho con lo que he aprendido hoy.
Pues se me hizo muy bonito ahorita que Ciudad Juárez está pasando por una cosa de mucha violencia. Se me hace muy agradable que haya ese tipo de estudios aquí en la ciudad.
Es algo que piensas que es necesario que
Sí,
venga la
pues,
palabra de Dios.
Sí, porque pues ahorita nos ayuda mucho a pues, a encontrarnos con Dios, que es nuestro Salvador, y acercarnos a la palabra de Dios nos ayuda mucho para que estemos más tranquilos ahorita aquí todos los que vivimos en Juárez.
Pues antes pensaba que era que Padre, no, ¿cómo se llama? Que era el Espíritu, el Padre y el Hijo. Y pues antes yo sabía que era eso, que que unos dicen que eran 3 personas y ahora sé que ya es una sola persona.
La última cita que hablaron en la Biblia acerca del poder de Dios, esa es una situación, una aclaración que me hicieron que pues, me abrió los ojos en cierta forma para poder adorar a Dios mejor.
Creo que el propósito a diferencia de las otras, se trata de enseñar la verdad en base a lo que es la Biblia en sí, lo que es basado y fundamentado solamente en la palabra.
For those who never knew anything different, God's true message of salvation taught in the Church of Christ may come as a stark contrast to the deep-seated Catholic beliefs they're used to. But in Latin America, God continues to call people through His words of truth. In Ciudad Juárez, Mexico, 47 people listened to God's call and are now registered as candidates for membership. It is Brother Juan's hope that his fellow countrymen will grasp the opportunity to know the true Church of Christ.
Existe una iglesia que ha sido profetizada, una iglesia que la Biblia nos dice que a su debido tiempo va a llegar y va a expandirse, va a alcanzar lugares antes de que el Señor le ponga fin a este mundo. Ojalá que tengamos el corazón lo suficiente abierto, la mente lo suficiente, que se preste nuestro corazón y que le demos una oportunidad a la palabra de Dios que trae en la iglesia de Cristo. Que escuchemos las enseñanzas, que cuando llegue ese momento, que no lo echamos a perder, que no lo dejemos ser destruido o opacado por nociones preconcebidas y todo. Permiten que Él llegue a su corazón cuando les hable la iglesia de Cristo. No cierren sus oídos, no cierren su corazón. El Señor Jesucristo dice, estoy tocando, ábranme la puerta. My countrymen, my brethren, Mexico.